Week on Verified. I'm Charles Hutchinson. Remember, Verified NFT is a podcast pertaining to NFT, Web3, and crypto news. I'm here to try to bring you only verified news from verified sources. We'll talk about verified projects, blue chips, we deep dive. We look at all sorts of things, up and coming projects, but we take those carefully. We take those with a grain of salt. I have a form published that you guys can use to analyze and rate new NFT projects and see if they meet your standards. But for this week of October 10-15, let's dive into some of the latest and awesome NFT news. It's important that I'm going to be doing these a couple times a month to really update you on the NFT news, as well as shorts all throughout the week to keep you up on all the latest things. Right now, this week, BAPES Clan NFT has a catastrophic meltdown. I'm talking one of the worst I've seen from what I would put at a really good project. If you look back, they had a 10 ETH floor this year. 10 ETH. It's almost impossible to mess that up. But then they dropped all the way down to half an ETH floor. Why? Well, the founder apparently went on a 2-month hiatus named Elo. He comes back and then has this crazy thread on Twitter. So before we dive in, let's go over a really quick montage to give you everything up on BAPES. BAPES had the Genesis collection. It was supposed to be 10,000. They had problems, wound up minting out 2,300. That's something they don't like to talk about. But it actually goes to show you that just because you don't mint out doesn't mean it can't be a successful project. As we showed, 10 ETH floor. Pretty fire. Well, then you get, I think if I remember correctly, looking at this long list, you got the BAPES keys first. So these Genesis key things, BGKs, and then from the keys, they led you to get the futures, which I actually kind of like. They're these little baby apes. And then you go into parental certificates and all this other kind of weird stuff, and then they turned out you could put the keys together and turn them into different kinds of keys, and all these different things have different factors that lead to different things. And then they were supposed to build out an NFT world. I didn't forget, and then something happened, and now they can't build out. And they were all promised condos. No one ever got condos, so they're trying to figure something else out. But now BAPES is going to space. There was several people like Brian, Elo, Mo, TFG, and Douglas. Although they have Cam Newton and some other people who were never really a part of the project, but on the website, I didn't personally see anything from them. They were all a part of this project, but after it launched, it was really these guys. From there, I guess TFG, Mo, and Douglas had been very active these last few months. I saw them in Apians, Cubex, and BAPES Public, just always speaking and talking and being very active. And they built it out as the BAPES were doing all of these other things, like Apians and Cubex, and all of this was going to benefit back to the BAPE holders. And then those texts came, right? Those Twitters came, those tweets came, and they just fucking split it right down the middle. The founder, Elo, said, hey, no, I'm not, those guys are snakes, they're doing all of this. Now, I'm not saying they are, because actually no one can tell. We can't tell. October 12th, this week. Literally, boom, bombshell. Elo comes in. He claims these 2 months he's been taking a hiatus. He's been trying to find his mental health, which I respect and I understand. But as a founder, how do you take 2 months off and let all these people do all these other projects that he single-handedly started? And then he comes back and says, hey, these guys were scamming. And he's talking specifically about Mo, TFG, and Douglas, and that these guys were snakes, and that they had been trying to sneakily pull apart this, and by insinuating rumors, and people weren't getting paid, and he was stealing. And Elo came back with, he has stuff in, different wallets, but it's all for the BAPES, and that these guys were really the ones creating all these crappy promises and bringing out all these other NFTs and dragging their name, and that it wasn't really everything he wanted it to be. Now, I'm just reading you these tweets and kind of paraphrasing what I've gathered from the community as well. And another thing that was happening too, I was, a few weeks ago, they were really discussing on the project to differentiate themselves, that they've stretched too thin, that it should go back to focus on BAPES, considering that the floor had fallen so low from 10 ETH. And so I really thought that this is what these were going to pertain to, is him saying, hey, we're coming back to our roots. We're going to refocus on BAPES. But it turned out there was this whole backstory behind it. He says, we know it was supposed to be 200 ETH, but in short, due to market conditions, we are now 50% short. I don't know if he knows that's how ETH works. So if they say 100 ETH, or 200 ETH, but now that there's 50%, there's less ETH. Hopefully he still gives them out to their holders. Again, they're redoing the BAPES clan, so this is very interesting. But these are the tweets that sparked it off, and then this led to massive fuss starting to drop. Everyone in the Discord starting to say, hey, what the fuck? What's happening? Why is Elo saying this? I thought the project was good. I thought you guys were good. And then this threw Douglas, TFG, and Mo right under the bus. I'm not saying they're bad guys, but this put all the spotlight on them, and now they had to defend themselves. Now they had to spend the next few days, explaining to the community, really, like, hey guys, we were building out all this stuff in hopes, what I gather in hopes, and talking to Elo here and there, that these would all be great things that Elo wanted to be a part of. He would get back to the BAPES. Maybe they were reaching out too thin or too far, and maybe Elo was trying to pull it back to the BAPES. Maybe there was some clash. I don't know. Maybe some things were said that shouldn't have been said. Both sides say they have receipts, yet I haven't seen a single receipt from either side other than Elo with these messages. And then Mo, Douglas, and TFG decided to do the thing that they could only do because through an AMA I had discussed single-handedly with Mo Douglas very important topics. I said, hey, who owns the contracts? Who does the futures, the BAPES, all that giant list go back to? And it all goes back to Elo. So at the end of the day, Elo is the true founder of this project. Now, whether these guys were a part of it and Elo's turned on them now, I'm not here to make anything like that. I'm just saying that that's how it is. So they've decided that they're going to step back to not pull the community apart, but they're very well, more than likely, probably going to break off and do something else, or go focus on saving the Apians and CubeX floor, because that floor has tanked and it's hit low. I mean, the Apians was all the way up to almost 1.4 ETH, and now it's 0.6. So I don't know how you save it other than you stick with your promises, you bring the stuff out. The only problem is, again, it's tied to a lot of the BAPE stuff. So we'll see here how they do that, and I'm excited to see. I'm excited. I'm a holder in all of these categories, so I need everything to do good. But, we'll see at the end of the day. It's very interesting. And I just wanted to tell you that this is a crazy fun story that I'm going to stay up to, and this is where we're at. And they had a large community AMA where Mo and Douglas and TFG bowed out, essentially saying they don't want to, but they are, but they're still going to linger around and kind of help out and use this community, which is kind of feels weird. It does feel a little weird, but this is what it is. And so yeah, strategizing and there's reworking this might be a good thing for the BAPES NFT in general, but this is definitely not good for the community who trusted BAPES, who believed that everything that was coming out of BAPES, and why the founder decided to take 2 months off and let Douglas and Mo and TFG and the community go on to the Apians and CubeX and feel like all these things were being minted out, and all these things had promises connected to them, and how they were all going to somehow tie back to the BAPES, to find out it's not. It's a no wonder the floor's fallen. Bored Ape Yacht Club is the next story this week, and it really comes down to double trouble for the Bored Apes. There's two things that are happening. One, they're being sued by a law firm known as Scott & Scott, and they're saying that their coin was induced inappropriately, that they said that they were going to be higher gains and more profits, and you had all these promoters and all these people coming out and hyping up this thing, from Snoop Dogg to everyone really hyping up the project and the coin, and they weren't disclosing they were getting paid. They weren't disclosing that they were gaining ApeCoin, and now that the ApeCoin's fallen and all these people have hyped in and everyone's sold and they made all this money, and they're looking at all these wallets and they're like, hey, all these people that you said were in were just really getting paid, and now they've gotten paid and they're out. they're allegedly being sued, and maybe rightfully so or maybe wrongfully so. It really depends on what they can prove in the court here. If Yuga Labs owns it. At the same time this is happening, they're getting hit by the SEC because they came back with that $4 billion valuation, and a lot of that has to do again with the ape coin. And the SEC is really trying to look at NFTs and if they fall under securities. We're already looking at crypto as securities. So how is it if the NFT is giving out the token, or if it's linked to it, or they're creating these tokens? How is that NFT then not a security? This, to me, finding out the rest of that story will lead into the future of NFTs and how they give the token out to their community and how they're connected to the community. And if they get called securities because they're giving out these tokens, and they're going to have to find another way, or maybe they'll only allow holders to buy the tokens. There would have to just be some changes that are going to occur from this case. I'll keep you up onto all of that. But that right now is the pinnacle of the Bored Ape Yacht Club and the trouble they're facing. My opinion on this is, one, I've been in the space. I've seen the hype. I knew they were inflating the token. I knew they were overly hyping it. Everything has a moment of drop. If you've been in here long enough, there's going to be a rise and a fall. These investors, this is a risky space. I don't know how the courts or the legal system are going to work around that, because this is so risky. Investors know that getting in. Now, that part maybe will lead to some sort of changes in practices, which would be great. It also leads, again, this space needs a lot more transparency. Even though everyone's shouting, the space is so transparent, the space is so transparent, everything's hidden behind curtains. And we have to find out this BAPE stuff on Twitter. Like, that's not transparency, and we still don't know. Now we're listening to these different sides argue. And okay, so maybe it is a little more transparent, but we're still getting fucked. We're still getting scammed. How do you fix that and stop that, right? So this is why I'm very adamant on, when you find a project or you want to get into a project, you find a good founder, a good teams that have built before. But fuck, that's even hard, right? You have the BAPES, which looks like this really great project, and God, they just fucked it up so fucking bad. And another thing, I don't want to bring it up, because it hurts, but crypto be down, and it's going down, and they're tightening, and I just, hang in there, don't sell, ride it out. I'm not giving financial advice, because, people are going to call me out. But just, stay strong. Hey, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe, sure. We're going to be coming out with this stuff weekly. I'd love it to see more of you here. We're building up a greater, larger community. I myself am an NFT creator, founder, ULabs X. There's websites and link in below. Check out my projects. Go to our Discord. Ask me any questions. We have a team there. We're building out huge. Hit that subscribe. Every single week, we're going to be doing deep dives into NFT stuff, crypto. We're going to be bringing in other AMA and founders. We're going to be talking to them. We're going to try to figure out what's the best place for this space. And we're going to try to chart this space into a good, amazing direction. So let's go. Get verified.